Howdy, folks. Happy Thursday. It is a cold, brisk one in Buffalo. Russ, just to start off, talk about people being, the hardy people of Buffalo, because of the current COVID restrictions. No restaurants are open, no cafes are open for indoor dining. So the last 4 days in 25 to 30 degree temperatures, even though it's not been windy, me and my coffee clatch that we're sitting out on the patio at a cafe in Buffalo, freezing our gulliunis off.
Yeah.
It's not pleasurable, but, we still want to get together and talk. So, but anyway, start us off with the pre-show.
All right. So I want to say 3 weeks ago for Full Press Baseball, I wrote that I felt like the Mets were probably going to go for Lindor, not Arenado, based on a lot of different reasons. But the only way I wanted Lindor was on a cheap trade for the 1 year that he has left. Clearly, that's not what this is, because now Carlos Carrasco is involved. So now what the Mets are losing is bad.
Here's the balance here. Arenado, I think, had 6 or 7 years left on his deal.
Right.
But the Mets probably wouldn't have had to give up anything. There was even talk of them giving up Robbie Cano in the deal, which is like doing them a favor. That's almost like a coupon for a couple of
years. The Indians don't want any salary. They weren't going to do that.
Right, but the Rockies didn't want any money back.
Right.
So in this deal, they have a 1 year commitment for Lindor at I think $21 million.
Right.
I don't know what Carrasco is making, but I'm assuming it's probably sizable. And I'll
think 10.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't know term wise how much is left. I'll look it up. But they gave up a very good major league shortstop in Amed Rosario and a very good prospect in Jimenez. So this was not cheap.
And Justin Wolf, who was a second round pitcher who had a good little run when he had that short stint in rookie camp. No, this is a bad trade for the Mets because they didn't have enough prospects to trade to begin with. Trading Rosario is fine. If you put Rosario in the deal and you gave away Josh Wolf or something else, I'm fine. The fact that they gave away Jimenez shows a short-sightedness of the organization, and I'm going to say the whole organization for what Jimenez could do, because he showed that he could play more than shortstop. He could play a little second. He probably could play third. Remember, the Mets still don't have a third baseman. They were thinking about using Rosario at third. Now they might have to use. They might have to use Jeff McNeil at third. We don't know. It depends if they make another deal or not.
Maybe they go after LeMahieu. I mean, that's possible.
Maybe, but the point here is, and I said this a year ago on Twitter, and people could look up the tweet. I got killed when I said I feel like Lindor is starting to decline. And that's not to say he's not going to have a couple more good years, but his best years are behind him. He's not having the same kind of years. We saw that this year. Now, granted, this year was a weird year, but he still didn't do great. And end of the day, I do not want to see the Mets sign him for 4 or 5 years. I think it's a mistake. And, they have a shortstop coming, Ronnie Mauricio. Like, what are you going to do with him? 2022 is about when he's supposed to be there. So, it's a 1 year deal. They gave too much. And if it's not a 1 year deal, then they're doing the wrong thing.
Carrasco has 3 more years. He makes $12 million this year, next year, and $14 million in 2023.
It's fine. No, as I could live with that. He is 33.
Yeah. But what this tells me is this might be insurance in case Stroman leaves or in case they decide not to re-sign Syndergaard if Syndergaard is asking for big money.
I still think they will re-sign him, but you're right. It is a little bit of insurance. It helps bolster the staff this year. That part's okay. I am not good with the rest of this deal. I think it's a mistake, and I don't even understand it. So
I understand it. It's the big.
I know it's the big splash, but I don't. They didn't have to do it this way. And
but one thing that for our writing gig, and I'm sure you're going to be writing it from the National League perspective, and I'll be writing about it from the American League perspective. This could be the dam breaking in terms of, okay, now Lindor has moved to the Mets. The Blue Jays were in on him as well. Now they have to find their plan B.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
All right.
Go ahead.
So let's talk about Jim Matheson.
Okay.
He's a hockey writer out of Edmonton. There's a player who wants to wear number 98 this year, and he is fully against it. And the reason he's against it is because it's close to 99. Now, clearly, he had no problem when Connor McDavid walked in and wore 97.
Right.
But now that there's some guy that he doesn't like wearing 98, all of a sudden it's like a problem for the city. Like here he said, no, it's not okay for a player to wear 98 in the city where 99 was made famous. Don't care if it was the year Jesse was born. It was a bad look.
See, there you go.
I don't understand it.
It's Puljujarvi. That's what it is. It's Puljujarvi.
It's Puljujarvi.
Now,
who doesn't like Puljujarvi?
Probably, and because he left for Finland. Now he's coming back, and now he wants to wear. Okay, first of all, if anybody in Pittsburgh said I want to wear 65, and there was Seth Rohrbaugh or Brian Metzer raised an objection, I'd say the same thing. It's asinine. It's not 99. It's 98. It's a different number. Who cares?
I mean, but it's just it's unbelievable. So he either has such a bad feeling about Puljujarvi, or he really believes this number baloney. But either way, it's like, really? Nobody could wear 99? What if somebody wants to wear 100? What are you going to do about that?
I would wonder. I would wonder whether Jim, and I've never met him, but I've seen his tweets. Yeah, I have respect for him. He's a veteran guy. Nothing.
Come on, Mike. Be honest about some of his tweets. Let's be honest here.
No,
his tweets are out there.
They're a little out there. Yes,
yeah.
They're not to the point of former hockey buzzer Richard Cloutier, but they're But then we're talking about somebody who's sane as opposed to somebody who's insane. But could this just be, it's a slow day and I'm going to write a column that's going to, or write something that's going to just be, a story?
If that's the motive, it's really bad because I don't think people like that, and I'm going to say people like that, meaning older writers, realize when you put something on Twitter, that is like basically saying, this is what I believe. So if you are legitimately doing that because you can't find anything else to write a column about while camp is getting ready to open, this is going to follow you now for the rest of your career, this stupidity. And that's what I don't think people realize. It's like, even if my boss is telling me, you got to come up with something today that's going to get a lot of clicks, it's not this. It's not going to be this because this is too stupid.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay.
We'll bring in X on the conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
X, so Jim Matheson is against Jesse Puljujarvi wearing number 98 because Gretzky was 99, nobody should wear 98 now. But 97's okay, obviously.
Oh my God.
He tweeted this, and it's like, and I said to Mike, even if you have an editor, let's say you're my editor and you're saying, listen, we need a lot of clicks today, come up with something. It's not this, because this will follow this guy now, because people don't realize when you put something on Twitter, even if you're trying to write a column that, is a little bit edgy, this just makes you look stupid.
Well, let me ask this. Has 99 been retired throughout the league?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah, you don't see anybody wearing it.
No one can wear it anywhere.
No, you don't see it when anybody wearing it. That doesn't.
No, but it is.
Officially retired. There was no ceremony, everything. Everybody had it.
Okay. Which I think is ridiculous, but okay, fine.
Yeah, I know you would. But, that's it has been. It has been. So that's the reality. But 98, like, what the hell? Didn't, who was it? Like Sam Gagne, we were 89, right? Wasn't he 89? He was 89.
89, yeah.
Hey, that's too close, too.
That's only one number off, too. I mean,
what if I just said, what if you want to wear number 100?
Yeah, right. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sorry about the dogs, guys. They seem to think now that the second they hear Mike and Russ's voice, it's time to go out. That's like a trigger thing. Like I've been sitting working at my desk here for the last 2.5 hours, and they've been just hanging out. But the second they hear you guys,
No, I have the same thing in my house. If I pull out the microphone, which I don't have today,
yeah,
but if I pull out the microphone, then my dog goes crazy. So now I give my dog a bone with peanut butter, and that helps for most of the show.
yeah, I gotta do that. I think now too, something like that. But anyway, we'll get there. Wow, Puljujarvi. That seems like such a on a day like today. That seems like such a insignificant.
It really does. But
Sorry to say.
But the thought is it about the number, or is it really about the player? What that guy feels about the player? That's what we wonder.
And I think it's about the player.
It's probably about the player, yeah.
And agrees.
So he's that would be Stella. I'll give you 1 second, guys.
Stella, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me let them out 1 second, perfect.
Okay.
Sure.
That's fine. But I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, this is, like Funky said, what if it's 99.99?
Didn't Suzanne Vega have a song called 99 something or 99?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the theme song. But no, I please. I mean, you know me. Okay, Gretzky's not the greatest player of all time in my estimation, but he is one of the top three.
If I were the Edmonton equipment guy, I would get on Twitter and tell Jim to shut up.
Yeah, 99 Luft balloons, Terry.
99 unluft balloons, if you want to be exact. But yeah. Yeah. There you have it. Yeah.
One of these days, Zach, we have to do a music podcast, and we have to talk about like one hit wonder 80s band.
Oh, we got to get Captain EO on for that. That's his.
Please.
He is the. I mean, we have a game that we would play often in the band when we were traveling around. We could find the local 80s station or what have you, and and then and have like the name that song from the beginning when it starts, and then it became like, me bringing like an 80s, like having like on your iPod a bunch of 80s songs and seeing who could name the 80s song first, and no one can top Eric. He's he's all about the 80s were his thing. I really was not an 80s music person at all, but
I liked 80s rock, and prog rock was really strong in the 80s. It had that resurgence. Yes. And then I liked new wave. There was a lot of new wave that I liked.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Flock of Seagulls type guy and stuff like that, So.
Yeah, I wasn't Flock of Seagulls, but there's some other new wave.
I liked I Ran and a couple other their songs, but that's about it.
I didn't like that, but Depeche Mode was good. New Order was good.
Did you like Human League?
Human League, a couple songs I could deal with. Thomas Dolby, I could deal with a few songs.
Howard Jones.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, you were definitely in the new wave.
Jackson, I could deal with some of his stuff.
Level 42.
Yeah, Level 42, I could deal with a little bit.
Like Wendy and Lisa Prince type stuff, like there along that lines.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty good.
Party all the time? No, I can't deal with that.
I am a Springsteen fan, Funky. Thank you for asking.
That's an Eddie Murphy song.
It was recorded in Buffalo, Russ, and it was produced by Rick James.
I know. Rick James wrote it, obviously.
Yes. I visited Rick James' grave last year, and there was a bottle of Hennessy cognac on the gravestone.
I'm sure there was more there, too, but you just didn't find it.
Was empty, though. Somebody
No, I'm sure there were other paraphernalia. You just didn't find it.
Yeah, roach clips. There you go.
We're gonna talk about the Western Division today.
Yeah.
And
who's that sponsored by?
It's sponsored by I think G Your Hair Smells Terrific. Is it? The G Your Hair Smells Terrific Western Division.
No,
I can't believe it's not Butter Northeast. Yeah, something like that.
No, it's sponsored by Nair Hair Removal.
It's Honda. Thanks, Randy. It's the Honda division. That means if you know. You better make sure you got their payment, or else they're going to come in.
So that means the Arizona Coyotes are the Honda Prelude, and the Colorado Avalanche are the Honda Pilot.
It doesn't work that way.
It is. I can't believe it's butter. Not. I can't believe it's not butter. I appreciate it. But no, wait, isn't it? Wait, I can't believe
it's not butter.
I'm right.
Yeah, you're right.
There we go.
It's a double negative, but they don't.
I can't believe it's not butter. Right.
I mean, for a while it was pretty good, but then they came up with that ones that were
right. It's the Hair Club by Men.
Hair Club for Men. Side Curling.
Hair Club for Men South.
I'm not only the owner, I'm also a client.
Right.
Sponsored by Darren Jensen. Right. All right, here we go.
His prices are insane. All right.
Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, January 7th. 2021.
I'm Michael Agello, and thank God we are talking hockey.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and I second that we are talking hockey and not anything else. Nothing else. Remember, this is the Hockey Buzzcast. We come to you this time if I don't say it exactly right, I don't get it right. But anyway, I don't say it exactly the same way. And hello, I'm Eklund. You're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday at this time to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world.
There you go.
And there you go. You guys say it exactly like that when I'm not here?
I never say that.
Oh, you should.
No, that's yours. It's all yours. That's yours.
Anyway, we're gonna get into the Western Conference today. I mean, there's not a whole lot of other news beyond that, obviously.
Well, couple things. Elliot Friedman was on Hockey Central this afternoon and mentioned what we mentioned yesterday regarding the Islanders.
Yep.
Now, talking about Barzal on a long-term deal, Russ, wanted Rantanen Marner money, which is $9 to $10 million,
right,
on a long-term deal. And obviously, the Islanders, okay, they have the cap room to do it.
My point is,
they don't have the actual money to do it until the building is built.
Well, again, you could structure this deal such that it would work out for this year, but I think Lou did it backwards. I would have waited on all those other players, and I would have done the deal with Barzal first, and then I would have figured out creatively how to bring in everybody else. And guess what? If I'm short one, like if Andy Green or Schneider doesn't make it, so be it. And that's what I would have done. Now it's going to cost them way more than that on the back end. And there's no way Matt Barzal is not going to say, I'm not testing the market, because he just wanted to get paid.
Right.
He's been their best player, and he didn't. So he's not going to give them exclusive rights. He's going to say, hey, I'm going to test the market, but I'd like to play for the Islanders, sure.
And Friedman said the same thing that we said yesterday, because, I have all the respect in the world for Lou Lamoriello, but anybody who says, well, we've signed Corey Schneider, we've signed Andy Green, we've signed Matt Martin. Now Friedman reported Matt Martin being signed. None of these contracts have been filed with the NHL yet, so they're in ether. Nothing has happened.
Right. They're invites as far as we're concerned.
Right. They're on PTOs, and they basically made an agreement with the league or with these players that they're going to be signed, but they're waiting for the Barzal contract to officially do it. So, okay, what are they going to do? Wait until the middle of the season? Is it going to be like Brandon Prust?
No, it just tells you that Barzal is not that far off. I mean, it just tells you that I really don't buy that. I mean, I know that people are now saying that, Barzal could miss more time and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's already missed 4 days. That's bad in a short.
Already missed 4 days. I am just not convinced that there's not something else. Another reason why he hasn't missed those 4 days too. So
no. It's all contract related. After all this, I am pretty convinced it's contract related. And my point is, so if you get him to a bridge deal, let's say, because that's the likely thing, and he makes the top that he can make, top on a bridge deal, which is what he's going to do because not getting the money long term. Is it worth it that you did this negotiation to have him miss 5, 6, 7 days of camp, of like a 12-day camp? Right. Is that worth it?
No.
That could affect your season.
I do agree. I definitely, and we don't know everything that's happening, but I definitely think that the fact that those guys aren't worried. I think it's not a big deal that it hasn't been filed with the NHL. Those guys aren't worried at all about the whole contract thing. That part doesn't get to me. What gets to me is that, you're right. He's missing time, and that is a big thing.
You can't tell me that was part of the plan. Like everybody,
I don't think so. I think they had another trade. Yeah,
that's not part of the plan.
I really think there's another trade they're working on too, and
it could be.
Well, they say there's something going on with Hickey. The possibility, I've heard Leo Komarov, but maybe they like him because he's a leader. But $3 million for Leo Komarov, I think, still is a little rich. The other thing, and then we can talk about the West, is this story coming out of New Jersey regarding Corey Crawford. Now, the reporting is that Crawford has missed the last few days of practices. The questions have been asked to some of his teammates about. What's going on with him. Nobody's really saying anything, but it's very curious, and it doesn't seem to be injury related. It seems to be.
Well, he took a personal day.
Right, he took a personal day, and this is Corey Masiak, and I may be butchering his name, but I
You're saying it right, I believe.
He said everyone has questions about Corey Crawford. Writers for The Athletic have reached out to people in various NHL circles seeking clarity on the situation. They're not going to speculate without concrete information, but the fact that he hasn't been there, I mean, this is a situation. They brought him in on a 2-year contract to basically share the load of Mackenzie Blackwood. Nobody thinks that the Devils are a serious playoff contender in that East Division, but I think that they think with Crawford and Blackwood there, they're going to have solid goaltending, and they could be a tough out. They could be somebody who's going to provide, and they have a good group of young guys. They lost Heishier for the beginning of the season, and now if
Jesper Bratt's not there either.
Jesper Bratt's not there either, and if there's something going on with Crawford where he's not going to be playing, I mean, it really that's going to be a shot across the bow for the Devils. So we'll monitor the situation, but we really don't know what's going on. But I thought it was valid.
Here's the one part, Eck. Lindy Ruff's the new coach there, so I'm sure he wanted to, get on the right foot, get everything right with Crawford because that's his number one goalie. You have to make him the number one if you're signing Corey Crawford. We know that.
Sure.
And right now, things are up in the air. And you didn't sign Corey Crawford for a 2-year deal to have things be up in the air. And that's probably the bad part for the Devils. It's not Crawford's fault. But what I'm saying is just now you didn't sign Crawford and expect to get uncertainty. And now you've gotten uncertainty so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to look into it. I'm putting out some things to certain people to see what's happening. What is being reported about it?
Just that he took a personal day, and now it's like he's still not back.
They're saying that he's missed 2 or 3 days of practice with no explanation. He took a personal day, and now there's other teammates are being asked what's going on, and they're saying, we're supporting him, we're doing this. They don't really know what's going on either, but
it sounds like they do. It sounds to me like they do know what's going on, and it's something very personal.
They don't want to say anything about it, obviously.
So. I mean, I think that everybody is so in touch with quarantining by this amount and and
right.
I'm sure everybody knows what's going on. I put out a text to a couple people I know there, and we'll see what happens. But I doubt we'll hear anything because if that's their reaction, it's probably something personal.
We don't know what's going on, but like I said, at the end of the day, they signed this guy to solidify the goaltending position, and so far that hasn't happened.
Yeah, it hasn't, and he, and I like the signing too. I mean, I think that if he's the guy, then that's a. I thought it was a really, really good signing for them. I thought it made. It made me think New Jersey had a better shot than a lot of people think they have.
After the season he had, I thought that was a good signing.
I thought it was more for stability and goal for a young and building team. But and that's all fine and good. I mean, I think everybody knows that Blackwood is the goalie of the future there, and they just don't want to burn him out by playing him 45 to 50 games in a 56 game schedule. So
now let's just say this: we don't know what's going to happen, but let's say for whatever reason. You could come up with 100,000 reasons he doesn't play this year.
Yeah.
What would the Devils do?
Right. What would they do?
People in the chat were speculating about Jimmy Howard.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that might be the route they'd have to go.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's waiting out there to sign somewhere, but that would make some sense.
Maybe they'll sign Corey Schneider.
Yeah, right.
Technically, he's not signed. That's true.
I know.
He's still out there.
No, I mean, I think it'll. I don't think there's reason to panic on this one quite yet, but I think it's definitely one of those.
Another day there would be a.
Yeah, I have to get something. I mean, this could be anything. No one's gotten back to me yet. But
I have to say, if it goes to the weekend, and he hasn't come back yet, you can't. You could let's put it this way: you could only hold off the New York Metro media for just so long.
Yeah.
You really can't hold them off much longer. Like they are going to start to speculate. It's
there's okay. So I'm reading my main text. Sorry. Hopefully back by the start of the season. Family issues. That's what I was just told.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, and that that's all. That could be anything. Who knows? I mean, we it came out recently the whole situation that Rask went through in the bubble. With his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these things happen. And no one understands that more than me. So
no,
I get that. I get it. So
I feel good that we backed Rask on that because we knew it wasn't happening unless it was something that he really felt was necessary.
And his teammates backed him up. It was only like some people in his organization that didn't seem to have his back. So anyway,
yeah, but they did actually, talk to a couple teams about him in the summer, which was kind of strange.
Sure.
But with Rask, they definitely did. So, I do think that there's a group in the ownership group there that is that's ornery. And part of the reason the Char is not back too. So
yeah,
I think you run into that situation. All right, let's get into the West. The West is how the West will run. The Your Hair Smells Terrific Western Division is going to be. I think it's kind of a division of two tiers to me.
Yeah, that's
and it feels pretty obvious that you have your California teams plus Arizona in one tier, and then kind of everybody else to me. But
okay, I'll
we'll start with 8. We'll start with number 8, and
let me just say that I'll dissent slightly there. That I think it's a 2-tier division, as you said. I think the top 3 are virtually guaranteed, and then it's 5 teams fighting over one spot.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that. I think that it's I don't think the top 3 are guaranteed. We'll get into that for sure. So to me, number 8. Number 8 actually is tough in this division because, to me, I'll start with this one. To me, it's Arizona, but
I think it's Arizona too.
Yeah, that is a tough one, and this is the reason why. Because logically, I say Arizona, but hockey, the crazy hockey thing that I always look to, because you have to look to that more, tells me that Arizona has enough going against it and enough young players that they could rally and be better than 8th.
Welcome the counterintuitive act to the show.
No, but counterintuitive act was right more than you guys were last year, by the way. So
you have proof to back that up? I know I
do. You want me to? I'll bring it up. I didn't want to. I thought it'd be obnoxious, but I looked.
Show me the tape.
Oh wait, Eck doesn't want to be obnoxious. Okay.
I looked it up, but I'll bring it up if you guys want to see it. But the reality is that the reality to me is I'm worried about that pick in 8th, because I think the 8th. Young players plus everybody against them and everything going in the wrong direction can sometimes mean something else. Now, I'm not saying they're a playoff team, okay, but I'm just saying to put them in 8th was hard for me. That's all. But you guys all have them in 8th?
I have them at 8.
I have them at 8. Yes, I think they're clearly the worst team in the division. They may be the worst team in hockey. Because not only because Taylor Hall left and they gave up assets to get him, and now basically wasted assets on a guy who was a half a season rental. I think that the Oliver Ekman-Larsson situation could play out in terms of a trade during this season if they find somebody willing to take his $8.25 million salary. And I think their strong point is the way they play defensive hockey and their goaltending, but Kemper always gets hurt. And with a compacted schedule, you have to worry about, either him or Ranta going down. And then it's, every year we see Aiden Hill playing 10 to 12 games. That happens. That's just to make them even worse.
Right. That's true. Let's go to number 7. So number 7, Russ, go ahead. You can start with 7.
I think it's the Kings. The fact that they don't have any of their super rookies in there, and Mike read out the pairings the other day.
Yeah.
If Jeff Carter's the second liner in the NHL, then I'm Kevin Allen. There's a big drop off after the second line, and even that second line's not great. Quick's getting older. I like their backup goalie. I like it, but at the end of the day, that's where I'm going 7.
Mike, what do you have?
See, I just put what I did is I didn't give them 1 through 8. I had the playoff and the non-playoff. I didn't. I'll say Anaheim because I'm not sure if Zegras is going to play for them. They have an old number 1 center in Getzlaf playing out the final year of his contract. I think they improved their defense a little bit with the addition of Shattenkirk, but it's Gibson and Miller, and Gibson will have to stay healthy, and Gibson will probably have to play 45 to 50 games for them to even have a chance at making a playoff spot. I just, too many things have to go right for them to be a competitive team. I think they're still in the midst of a, transition with Dallas Eakins and trying to get good performances out of the young guys like Sam Steele and Max Jones. I don't know whether all these guys can lift their level to compete for a playoff spot. but I think they're of the three California teams, they have the most flaws. So I'll go with them 7th.
I'll say of the three California teams, the team I'm putting in 7th that has the most flaws. It's funny, we all went with a different one. Is San Jose. I'm putting San Jose in 7th, and I don't see. I was really disappointed in their offseason. And as Sharks fans, I think Sharks fans should really have demanded a little bit more than this. I mean, this really what they did. They went out and got Dubnyk. Okay, they got Dubnyk, which it's an upgrade from Martin Jones, no question about it. That it can be, at least. Dubnyk has like his moments. Yeah, he's really good, or he could be Martin Jones too. But he has more upside than Martin Jones probably. But after that, their big pickup like Patrick Marleau, and then after that, Donato. Right, that's it. That's all they did. This is a team that was really bad last year. They were really bad last year, and I feel as if the Sharks and Doug Wilson just decided that they were bad. Them being bad was like an anomaly last year, and I don't think it was. I think they are not. They're older and they're slower and they have issues all over the ice. I don't see any way that they're better than 7th.
Well, I think that the thing. I mean, with San Jose, and I think I have them 6th. I think the problem there is Martin Jones. The last two and a half seasons has been a sieve. He's been terrible. Now they think that they've rectified this situation by acquiring Devin Dubnyk from Minnesota, who last year, because of probably understandable reasons, off the ice reasons, he was pretty much a sieve in Minnesota, and they had to give the starting job to Alex Stalock.
Right.
Maybe a fresh situation helps Dubnyk. And when Dubnyk was on in Minnesota, Russ, he was a top 10 goaltender.
Yeah.
Maybe he recaptures that. But San Jose had a ton of injuries. I think Hurdle was hurt. Couture was hurt. On defense, obviously Carlson was hurt. But the big concern with them is age. Vlasic is 33. I think he's slipping. He's nowhere close to being the defenseman that he was a few years ago. And their core group at forward, other than Couture, who I still like, and I think he's a good player, I have no confidence in Evander Kane being a leader on any team. I've seen what he does as a leader, and I think he's more disastrous than he is productive.
Yeah.
And you have to have young guys like Donato, who they got from Minnesota, and LeBanc to step up. I don't know if there's enough there. That with the Sharks.
Yes, you put them in 6th. Okay.
I'm in 6th.
Yeah. My 6th place. Did we get your 7th place team, Russ?
Yeah, 7th was the Kings.
Right. Okay, my seventh place team is the Ducks, and I think
your 6th place team.
My 6th place team is the Ducks. Sorry, yes.
I'll break the news. So is mine.
Okay, so I like some of the Ducks. The Ducks have been doing a really interesting rebuild that's going better than I think people realize, despite the fact that the team hasn't seen the results on the ice yet.
Well, Trevor Zegras helps.
And Trevor Zegras, I mean, if anybody who saw him, that's gonna help.
That's gonna help.
I mean, he's like, he's got like Kevin Allen thinks he's got some some Kane in him, Patrick Kane in him.
Well, I think he has a little bit of Kane in him.
It reminds me a little bit of Modano at times.
I think he's more Modano than Kane because
yeah.
And I don't know why I say that. I
hate to say that because I always think guys that wear the same numbers look like. And I know he's 9'9" and Modano was number 9, but I really see some aspects of the way he skates reminds me so much of Modano.
Yeah, I think it is the way he skates. I think you're right.
He skates in, as they said, that certain bent over like
more. Nobody skates like Patrick Kane. I saw him in juniors. I thought he was like completely different than anybody had ever seen, and I still think that.
I think maybe Hughes does a little bit,
maybe we'll see.
I think Jack Hughes is a little. He most really reminds me the most of Patrick Kane, but I think Zegras is going to bring some of the momentum to them, and I think they haven't had an influx like that from a young player in a very long time.
He could provide a spark. He could.
Yeah, and Gibson, Gibson is a solid.
Mike always talked about Sam Steele. Steele could, have a better year for sure. Yeah. Jones could definitely have a better year.
Shattenkirk was a good pickup for them. I thought, looking back, I think that's the kind of player that they needed to get, and they got him. This is like that. That's what the Sharks didn't do. Like the Sharks didn't do that. They didn't need Shattenkirk, but they didn't find the right player.
We'll talk about the Sharks. I think you're missing a few things.
Okay. The last thing the Sharks needed to do was waste more money on another defenseman while they're spending what $27 million on their top three.
No, I don't think they need another defenseman, but I'm just saying they didn't. The idea is that they addressing the thing that you really needed, and the Ducks did that with Shattenkirk. And I don't think the Sharks really did that with.
But like the Devils with Crawford, the Ducks are not a Shattenkirk away from making the playoffs.
No, but you need a Shattenkirk to be competitive. And
he's a good defenseman. He takes some of the onus off of Cam Fowler to have to be the power play quarterback.
Yeah.
They use Shattenkirk as the power play quarterback, which probably means they use Fowler more 5-on-5.
And Zegras also played a lot of the point, and we'll see what happens with that too.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't know whether. First of all, I think the comparison between Modano and Zegras, Modano is a much more physically imposing guy. He was 6'3", 210 pounds. Zegras is 6 foot, like 100.
Right. It's just the skating. It's
the skate. Yeah,
the style and the kind of like the head down, go to the net type.
Yeah.
That is the reminder part.
He's a premier skater. He's got great creativity. So I can see that, but I just don't know. There seems to be some doubt whether the Ducks will insert Zegras into the lineup immediately, or whether it's something where they just wait to see, because Brian Burke made the point this morning that it's one thing to dominate a tournament of 18 and 19-year-olds, it's another thing to go up against Kopitar and Couture and other guys like that in that division. So we'll see.
So that's my number 6. Who's your number 6? Oh, you also said the Ducks.
Mine was the Ducks.
Right. Okay. So, and you already said your number 6.
I said Anaheim.
Okay, so we all have Ducks at 6. So at 5, obviously we're all gonna have a different team here. I have this is where I put the Kings, and I understand.
So did I.
Yeah, you put the Kings there too. Okay, so it's hard. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put the Kings there. Like, I get, Russ, why you put the Kings where you put them. Like, when I look at the lineup, I think the same thing. But then when I watched a couple of their games from the end of last year, just because I wanted to remind myself of what the Kings were all about, and I went through and watched the condensed games, and stuff like that. And they had something going. Obviously they were winning like crazy. They won when they stopped, they were like 10 wins in a row or whatever it was.
They also had no pressure.
Right. They had no pressure. That's true. But you saw Jonathan Quick very much reborn into like.
Oh, I don't know if he's reborn.
No, at least during that stretch of time, he was freaking unbelievable.
At the end, the funny thing is, at the end of the year, it wasn't Quick. Right. It was Cal Peterson.
No, I know they were going back and forth, but
that's why I picked
Peterson's got a good future. That's why I meant to say Cal. I said Jake.
Yeah, that's why I think that I'm picking the Kings. I mean, okay, first of all,
Carl.
if you looked at that lineup that I mentioned yesterday,
right.
They had Blake Lizotte as their number 2 center. Blake Lizotte's not going to be their number 2 center in a week or so when Alex Turcotte gets there and maybe Byfield gets there. So I think that they're going to have an infusion of some of these young guys that we've been talking about. Velarde played very well at the end of the year.
Played very well at the end of the season.
So, I mean, there's some young talent there, and it'll be up to McClellan to sort of.
But they might play like a young team, too.
Right. Right. Which means in the second half they might make a rush.
Yeah, I mean, and there's every possibility that they could finish anywhere from here to 8th. I mean, honestly, it's reality. But
I mean, what's the over/under? Jeff Carter plays 40 games.
Yeah, I was going to say Jeff. Right now Jeff Carter's in the lineup. Next week he could be on LTIR, and
when you said yesterday that Carter and Athanasiou are on their second line, that is definitely not what you really want to see out of a top 6. So
and to be honest, as much as I like Velarde, he has to prove that he can stay healthy too.
Right, and I mean they have. I mean, obviously, they just had something that I think they're slightly further along, and I think that Blake has done a really good job at being patient with a lot of these guys. I do think he's going to have a tough time being patient this year with all the weird circumstances that are going out there. Like where's Byfield going to play? Where's Byfield going to play if he doesn't play?
I think Byfield's their number 3 center probably.
Right. So if he doesn't, but right now they're not. They're saying talking to our friend Lisa Dillman. He's not. Byfield's not slated to be on the team this year. Still, that to me.
Well, that is a possibility.
If that's the case, then where is he going to play? That's my.
Well, wherever Ontario moved to, Mike said where they moved to the other day.
Yeah, like El Segundo or something.
Oh no,
Irvine. Yeah.
So they're right good.
Oh, no. I think San Diego moved to Irvine, and Ontario moved to like El Segundo or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I can't remember. But this is the point, though. And like we said yesterday, with all these players, with Byfield, with Jack Quinn in Buffalo, with Nick Robertson in Toronto, what the CHL does is going to be, because if the CHL says we're not playing this year, then more than likely Byfield stays with the Kings on their taxi squad and probably gets dropped into the lineup every once in a while and plays 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry to interrupt. Like El Guapo says, he thinks Bjornfot's the next man up. He is, but I think he's playing overseas still. I think he still has a season to finish, and unless he's allowed to leave.
No. Unless he plays in their top 6. It's basically if he's going to be a stretch, then it's the European assignment clause, and he goes back to what, the SHL.
Or Blake will get a shot. There's no question. He deserves to get a shot. But
that's the only. I mean, that's the area where I think they're the weakest.
Yes,
because when you trade for Oli Mata, who was a salary dump from the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's on your top pairing with Drew Doughty, that doesn't say a lot for your defense. I mean, this is not Alec Martinez and Jake Muzzin and Braden McNabb. It's like McDermott and Ra, and not a deep defense.
So you at 5th at 5 have San Jose, Russ?
Yes, I have San Jose there. So here's the reasons. So I do think that Devin Dubnyk can turn it around. And I think even if nothing else, just him over Aaron Dell.
Right, Sammy signing back with the Devils. Is that the case? That's what we're hearing now? Sorry, I wanted to break in. Sorry about that.
What did it say?
I just got a text about that. I just looked in the chat room there, said the same thing.
What?
That is back on signing with the Devils.
Okay. So anyhow, I think Dubnyk's an upgrade over Aaron Dell for sure. And then I do think he takes pressure off of Martin Jones, but I do think Dubnyk will be the number 1. Whether it happens right away or it's gradual, who knows? I love John Leonard. I saw that he might be playing with Hurdle and Kane. I watched John Leonard personally dominate some games live in NCAA hockey. I think he could be a 10, 15 goal forward if he plays with the right guys right away. So I think that's an addition. I also liked Mario Ferraro, what he was showing last year. And, of course, these are bottom pairing guys because you still have to get Carlson and everybody else to do something. And I do think Carlson will do better if there's better goaltending. Remember, Nikolai Hinaz played like 3 games, but he played 33 for the Barracuda. He came literally from like the North American Hockey League to the KHL to the AHL, but they watched him in international competition, and he got to play, and he played pretty good in those 3 games. So I think San Jose is going to be sprinkling in that kind of talent with the high-priced talent that they have, and I think they're going to do better than you think. I mean, like, I'm looking up how many points did Burns have last year.
I think it was in the 30s.
Yeah, I think he could still do better than that. I honestly think that the goaltending really killed them as far as short-circuiting their offense in a lot of games.
45. He had 12.
Okay, no, he'll probably get that again. But, like, I saw that. I don't remember who had the next-gen stat where they were like, well, Erik Karlsson on the ice for goals was horrible. And it's like, yeah, because he had a horrible goalie last year. Martin Jones was horrible.
He had a horrible goalie. He had a horrible goalie, and he was playing hurt for most of the year. So, I mean, you can't overestimate what a healthy Erik Karlsson could mean to this team, because his defense is essentially having the puck and keeping it out of his own zone. The less shots that their goaltender. I mean, he's never going to win another Norris Trophy playing defensively how he has in the past, but he's still going to generate 70 points.
John Leonard could be a good guy for them, especially if they put him with some veterans. I do think San Jose will surprise to some degree, but obviously in the 5 spot, they're still not making the playoffs. So.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the details on that, and sorry, I was just
I just saw it.
What are the details?
It was reported that I believe it's a 1-year deal. I would be smart. I'd be surprised if it's anything more than that.
Yeah, that's all it is. I'm sure, but I'll try to find if I get that. Next up, going into number. Now we're going into the playoff spots, right? So now, I think we all have the same 4 playoff teams.
But in different order.
Maybe in different orders.
Yeah.
We'll see. So number 4 to me is the Minnesota Wild. And this is I like, and the reason I'm not thrilled with the goaltending situation. Like I'm not really big on Cam Talbot. But he could turn. He's really one of these unknowns. Like he's either really good or really not. So we'll see where he goes.
He's an excellent stopgap goalie, but that's not what they really needed.
I mean, the fact they handed him the starting job and like made a big deal out of that really bothered me because
he did look good last year.
But Stalock was so good for them.
Stalock's hurt also.
He's hurt,
and Stalock is not a number 1.
Yeah, but you do know he's not a number 1.
Yeah, but he was their number 1 last year at the end.
By default,
they don't make the playoffs without him. But again,
it was by default.
That's not a good team thing to do. Like to hand the goalie
They really didn't have.
Like they signed Marty Brodeur. They signed Cam Talbot.
They really didn't have much choice last year because Dubnyk was going through some personal situation, so they had to go with Stalock, and he got them to the playoffs. But Stalock was basically a stopgap, and in their situation, they didn't want to go with Kakkonen, the young goalie, as their number 1. Put all the pressure on him. Yeah. So maybe they think he's going to be the number 1 in a year or two, and they can.
I think that is what they think.
But you're killing Talbot when back in the day the Flyers signed Robert Esch. Did you act the same way for that?
They didn't guarantee him to be the number. I'm killing what they did in terms of saying to him like you're going to be the number 1 goalie. Like I just
make Kakkonen number 1 just because he won goalie of the year in the AHL and played a certain amount of NHL games. You can't just give him the job.
Right. That really worked for Garrett.
You don't have to give anybody the job. That's my point. Like you don't have to tell any. You don't. I mean, how many teams like if the Flyers come out and said Carter Hart's the number 1 goalie? No. I mean, it's
okay, you've got one goaltender who's got 8 or 9 years of NHL experience, who was a starting goaltender in Calgary, who was a starting goaltender in Edmonton, who was a starting goalie for another couple. Well, not with the Rangers because he was behind Lundqvist, but okay, that guy as opposed to a guy who's the AHL goalie of the year. On seniority alone, you're making that guy the number 1 goaltender. Doesn't mean that 3 weeks down the road, if he's played badly and Kakkonen is playing well, Kakkonen's not going to be the number 1 goalie.
Yeah,
you might. You can do that, but you didn't have to announce. Like just to me, if you're trying to build this new team culture and everything like that they're trying to do, which I think Garen's done a really good job at, except for this situation, is like you don't name somebody a starter in any situation. And it's like it felt like they had to promise it to Cam Talbot to him to go there, which is ridiculous because Cam Talbot didn't have really many other places to go.
Well, we don't know. I mean, you're saying that. I believe you, but I don't know if somebody, especially now, somebody would have taken Talbot by now.
Somebody would have, but would anybody have given him 3 years? I mean, it's like you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, I just doubt it. I mean, it really feels like, and I'm really not trying to rip him to shreds. He can be a good goalie. Like I said, he has his moments where he's really a really good goalie. But I just think that it just felt a little unnecessary, and it feels like one of those things that's not really good for the team.
I get it. With Carter Hutton's career in jeopardy, you're going to start going after Talbot. I get it.
I am not going after Talbot. And I've already said that Gibson's a good goalie on this podcast, so give me a break here.
Well, I mean, so you've escaped from the Carter Hutton cult.
Right? I've never. But everybody loves it. It's
excuse me. I'm sorry.
2020 of you guys.
Sorry.
I saw a headline. Carter Hutton was great in the scrimmage the other day.
The
Kiprusoff in Minnesota. That's going to be a big deal, right? Because they have a chance. You finally have a chance to see
what Eck wants. What Eck wants is Cam Talbot to be traded to Edmonton, so the goaltending tandem would be Kakkonen and Koskinen.
Yeah,
the Killer K's.
Yes.
But no,
okay. Markman at this point, like come on, let's get him. Okay, or Markstrom? Not Markstrom. Who was the old Oilers goalie when they went to the finals? Markkanen.
You see Markkanen.
There we go.
He filled in. He wasn't the starter, but he filled in because of injury.
Right, because Rolison went down.
Right, Rolison went down, and he was in there in the playoffs.
And somebody else went down too, right?
Ty Conklin.
Right. That's right. They're all good.
The all-time outdoor game winner, Ty Conklin.
So Kiprusoff is finally there, and the excitement is overwhelming.
Kiprusoff, what are you talking about? Kaprizov.
What am I saying?
You're still talking goalies.
Kaprizov.
Sorry.
You say tomato, I say tomato. Let's go.
I apologize. Kaprizov is finally there.
Yeah.
Is he going to be all that everybody expects him to be?
Maybe I'm stealing Russ's thunder here, but if you ask me next week when we make predictions for Rookie of the Year, I think Kaprizov is the leader for a rookie for the Calder in terms of odds because he's a few years older. He's played in a professional league in the KHL. He's thrived there. I think he will be the closest thing to Panarin in terms of coming from the K and being an impact player right away.
Right. I think you're right. I mean, and he's 23. I mean, he's not, like you say, he's more than a few years older than some of these guys. But yeah, I think he's interesting to bring him in at the time when they made the big leadership switch. Getting rid of Koivu, getting rid of Stahl. Now that room is now basically Parise's room with other and other I think and they
Suter's a big guy.
Parise and Suter they could still move those guys out. I think in order
they're
to
not moving Suter. He's never
Suter, but if they really change that room, you'd have to move Parise out probably. But they're still they've done.
I think they missed their opportunity to do that.
Yeah, they tried. But I think they're a fourth place team. Anybody else who anybody else have them in fourth place, or where are you guys?
No, I have them in fourth.
I have them in fourth, and I think that the Kings could push them if they get really great goaltending. And because honestly, like I understand some of the moves that Guerin made during the off season. I don't know in certain circumstances whether they got better. I don't think Nick Bonino is as good as Luke Cunnin, but if they didn't want to pay Cunnin money and they thought that Bonino in terms of being a veteran guy and being able to fit a role is a better fit, then I get it. And I think they gave away Ryan Donato, and I thought Russ can attest to his talent. And
he scored 14 goals, which means like Eriksson Ek and Greenway have to step up, and Zuccarello has to do a little better. He had 15 goals, but he's able to get more assists. He has the ability to do that.
And honestly, I think the worst trade of the offseason was Eric Stahl for Marcus Johansson, because Marcus Johansson was horrific in Buffalo as a center playing out of position, and apparently Minnesota's going to play him at center.
I know. I mean, I'm not going to pan the trade yet because I happen to like Johansson as a player. I'm also going to say Buffalo was a hot mess.
Yes.
And maybe just getting out of there will help him too.
And apparently what Guerin wanted to do is that Stahl was such a strong presence in that room that he wanted to move on from him because he only had a year left in his contract.
Exactly.
So, but still, in terms of player for player, in terms of a hockey deal, Stahl is a much better center than Marcus Johansson.
Yeah, we spent too much time in Minnesota. We got to move on.
All right. So now the top three teams. Okay, to me.
Yeah, put them in a block.
To me, like we'll put them in a block and how they play out. To me, like there are really. You said, Mike, you think there's like three really good teams and everybody else, basically, and I think there's two really good teams and everybody else. Because I'm going to say my third team is the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think the Vegas Golden Knights are solid. Okay. But I talked before about I wondered if they would make the playoffs when they were in the Pacific Division, and I still think if they were in the Pacific Division, they might have a tough time making the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs in this Western Division now.
Yeah, they're making the playoffs.
They're making the play. Yeah.
I think in the Pacific Division, if they had to go up against Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, it would be a little bit. Those teams are more in their realm. Like to me, those teams are very similar.
I mean, just the goaltending they have, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have Fleury right now, right? But Leonard's hurt. Is he going to be okay?
It's not like he's hurt for the year.
I know. But
you're going to worry about Fleury for like the first 7 games? I'm not.
I'm still sticking by what I said about Vegas. I said it before. I don't want to beat it up, but I just think that there's a certain amount that seems to be like they're slowly tearing away at what made them special. I think Pietrangelo is a good pickup. But I think Pietrangelo is obviously you can't go wrong. But they gave away one of their they gave away a good defenseman in getting him. So to me, are they that much better?
I'll tell you what made them special: Gerard Gallant and the element of surprise.
Right.
Other than that, there has never been this team ever since. So I don't think there's anything else to the Vegas Golden Knights as far as being special.
I have the Knights second.
Okay.
Me too.
In the division. And my only concern with them is that now, they're not the plucky underdog Knights
No.
like you were saying. Now after trading for and signing Pacioretty and Stone, signing the long-term deals with the guys who were on that first team, like Carlson and Smith and Marchessault and Tuck. They're a very top-heavy team. What they need is guys like Cody Glass, who's now 21 years old. I'm assuming that Cody Glass is going to be inserted in the lineup in place of Paul Stastny, and that he's going to be playing up the middle. And if he can have a good year playing a second, third line center role, then I think the depth of their lineup would be much better. I
Pietrangelo. Like, is Pietrangelo going to move the needle for you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that was the thing was, I said, for them to really overall improve their defense, they had to sign Pietrangelo and keep Schmidt. Pietrangelo is a better defenseman than Schmidt, but they had to trade Schmidt to sign Pietrangelo. That was not the move they needed to make. Their defense is decent, but Russ, the bottom pairing again is Zach Whitecloud, who I think
Whitecloud's got more to give, Mike.
No, I'm not saying that, but it's like but right now, okay, it's Pietrangelo, it's Theodore. That's a phenomenal,
amazing. That's great.
Right, that's great. Alec Martinez is won 2 Stanley Cups. He's a good.
He had a resurgence. I give him credit.
Yeah, Braden McNabb is a veteran guy, penalty killer, but then your 5, 6, 7 is Nick Holden, Carl Dahlstrom, and Zach Whitecloud. Unless Nick Hague is coming up, or they find somebody else to play.
Hague will be around for sure.
But right. You're saying all this, Mike, and you think that they're going to be better than the St. Louis Blues? Is that
yes?
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think St. Louis underestimates the loss of leadership that they had with Pietrangelo. They've replaced him with Torrey Krug, and Torrey Krug is a fine defenseman. Yeah. But I think the way Doug Armstrong treated that situation, how he would not pay Pietrangelo to stay there, I think that's going to have detrimental effects to the Blues. I think they still think they're a playoff team, but I think that they're not going to be as good this year because they let Pietrangelo walk away over money.
I mean, here's the thing I want to throw about Vegas along those lines. Like you're saying, okay, so you guys mentioned Cody Glass and, coming in and filling in for Stastny. And that's probably what's going to happen. You're right. But that's not the same kind of player at all. And the issue with issue
could be better. He's just not as good as a face-off guy. But he could be a lot better.
That's a better two-way player.
But they need offense.
Yeah, right. They need offense, but they also and they definitely need offense. But they also one of the things that separates these teams that are like the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Vegas Golden Knights is having players like Stastny on the team, because that's the kind of player that you can put in there, and he's going to he can give you offense. But he can also check against the other team's best forward. Who's that player on Toronto? That's a good example. Who's that player on Toronto that you put in there in that situation? That's going to be your defense.
Your defensive center would probably be Alex Kerfoot.
And that's and he's the best one they've had in a long time. All right, but they were missing that kind of player for a very long time, and obviously they bring in Kerfoot, and that helps them. But Stastny, he's going to help Winnipeg. But thinking that when you lose that little bit of smarts, one thing about Stastny, and everybody who's ever covered the USA hockey always says the same thing about him, is he's probably one of the smartest hockey players they've ever met. Just just like intelligence-wise, he brings so much. He's like a coach on the bench. He brings so much.
Right, but the reason, the reason Vegas got rid of Stastny was not because he wasn't a good player. It was because he's making $6.25.
I get that. But forget about the money. I'm just talking about what they're left with now. They're left with Cody Glass there, and they're left with in that situation.
I'm fine with Cody Glass. I think Stastny got too slow. This doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, I think this is one of the.
I'm not saying you could be right.
This is the one thing that could save the Knights over the next couple of years, is inserting guys on entry level contracts like Hague, like Peyton Krebs, like Cody Glass, and getting performances out of them, because they need these cheap young players.
You're right. But they also need two-way forwards. Pacioretty's not a two-way forward. Stone's not a two-way forward.
Wait, hold on.
Stone is one of the best two-way forwards in the league.
Stone. I didn't mean Stone.
Amazing two-way. Pacioretty is not terrible two-way. He's not.
Right. No, and they're not terrible, but I'm just saying that a lot of that, like a lot of what Gallant built there, and and Stastny, granted, wasn't even really a Gallant. Well, he was a Gallant guy, yeah, for sure. But a lot of what Gallant they're built was, they were these kind of like smart, intelligent two-way players who made them tough to play against in the middle of the ice. I think that what's going to happen, that's where I think that the Blues are.
Well, okay.
The former Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues are a lot better than the Vegas Knights.
Well, see, okay, here's where I'll dispute that, because put it side by side. Now, I want to talk about Colorado, because I think we all have Colorado.
Yeah, but I want to talk more about St. Louis.
Put the two teams side by side. Goaltenders for Vegas, you've got Leonard and you've got Fleury.
Right
now, for goaltenders for St. Louis, you've got Binnington, who had a below par season last season, and Ville Husso, who's unproven in the NHL. They trade Jake Allen, so
Vegas was one of the best goalies in the league the year before that, so it's hard to sit there and say like he had a bad year, and a lot of guys had a bad year last year.
Now, defensively, we talked about Vegas, and I think their top four is really good, but their bottom pairing is weak. You've got in St. Louis, Falk, who had a bad year last year. Krug coming in to replace Pietrangelo. Parayko is really good.
Yeah. No, Parayko had a bad year.
No, but he's really good. I'm just saying he's a really good defenseman. But yeah, he had a bad year. Scandella, Vince Dunn, Gunnarsson, and Bertuzzo. Vegas beats them on defense, and Vegas has problems defensively in terms of depth.
And I do think, look, Justin Falk had a bad year. That's 16 points. He can't do that. That's not why you brought that guy in there.
Right.
But I do think there's guys who can give more on that team. Barbashev, Sundqvist. There's some unheralded guys, but they do have older guys too, like Bozak, and we don't know when Perron's engine is going to stop. I mean, he's had an amazing resurgence, but at the end of the day, all the pressure is on Parayko now. He wanted it. He asked for it, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to deliver.
But just consider this in terms of the leadership gap. Who is gone right now? Pietrangelo is gone. Tarasenko is out probably for most of the season.
Yeah,
and Alex Steen, who had been there for a decade, is gone.
And he was a big leader. He was a big leader.
He was. But Braden Schen's turned into quite a good leader too. So.
And they made O'Reilly captain. O'Reilly's a good player.
O'Reilly's a good leader.
They
coming in,
Well, okay. If they sign Hoffman, that replaces some of the offense lost with Tarasenko.
But Hoffman's better than Steen. So it's like, if Tarasenko comes back in,
but Hoffman is replacing Tarasenko.
Tarasenko might be back at some point.
Maybe.
And I think that, or for the playoffs or whatever, you're going to have him back probably. And I think that when Tarasenko returns, that you're looking at Hoffman for Steen, really, is what you're looking at. And Tarasenko's just out. That's.
I hear Peter Gabriel will be back with Genesis too.
I don't know. I get it, but I think that the Stanley Cup. I still think the Blues need a little bit more credit than they're getting here. I mean, they're not
a playoff team. We're just saying they're not the Vegas Golden Knights.
Heck, they lost to Vancouver.
No, they were horrible in the bubble. It's hard when you're doing this. When you're doing this, it's hard to not look at. I think it's different than usual. Like looking at the bubble is a different kind of situation than normally looking at the playoffs when you're going back.
All right, but Eck, you made your Muppet face. I want to bet this now. Let's make a bet here that Vegas comes in ahead of St. Louis. What do you want to bet?
I'll do that. I'll do a case of Drinkatos for you there.
Take a boost.
Fine.
Yeah. Case of take a boost.
Yeah, I
feel like I'm the loser if I win that. But,
I'll bring you a case of vegetarian something.
Yoo-hoo.
But too cheap. It's got to be more expensive.
I'm 100% into this.
Here's the one thing that we have to say before about Colorado, because I think we all have Colorado first.
Yeah.
We all think that Colorado is deep and talented, probably one of the best young teams in the league. They have a core group up front that's fantastic, and then if you look on defense, you've got Girard, you've got Makar. You've got Bowen Byram coming in. I mean, their defense is really good. The only question I have, and I keep coming back to it, is their goaltending Stanley Cup caliber, and it's not. I'm sorry. Pavel Francouz and Grubauer, I think if they're going to win the cup, they're going to have to add a goaltender before the deadline. Whether they trade for Tuukka Rask or trade for somebody who's a unrestricted free agent. I think that's the only way they win the cup. But otherwise, they're a juggernaut. They just don't have a juggernaut goaltending.
It's tough because obviously last year, and now Grubauer's hurt, right? So that's also playing into it again. But I thought, I can't think of their backup. I'm sorry, beyond Grubauer. Their other goalie,
Francouz.
Thank you, Francouz. Just went blank there. Francouz, I thought was also playing hurt last year. Talking to people, and I think that he came in and he wasn't as hurt, and he could play, but he was also playing hurt because they had nothing else. I think Francouz is better than what you saw last year. In the bubble, he was really good in the regular season. He was not that kind of a goalie, So I think that I think that Francouz is going to be the guy eventually this year. And Grubauer, I agree that this is their weak spot. There's no question about it. Like if they had gone out, but who could they? I mean, Cam Talbot's not an upgrade for them. I think that I'd rather have Grubauer over Cam Talbot. So I think that they're in. But I think they really wasn't the goalie they could go out and get. Well,
that's why I think they have to wait until the deadline because
maybe a deadline goalie team they could.
Yeah. If they don't get it out of Francouz, which is I think I still want to see what they can get out of him with him healthy. I really think he played longer than he should have.
Well, they will be able to find out through, say, 30 games before the deadline. I think the deadline's in April. Whether they have the confidence in Francouz to be the number one. Because obviously, I think when Grubauer got hurt and they had to play Francouz in the playoffs, you could clearly see they weren't comfortable with him as the number one. And then he got hurt, and they had to go to Hutchinson. I think depending on who drops out of the race in one of these divisions, they will be, and they've got the young assets. I mean, that's the thing. They're absolutely sick with prospects in terms of Byram, in terms of Alex Newhook. I mean, they have draft picks and they have cap space, so they can make moves that other teams can't.
No, they can, and they'll be very very good. I mean, I think they're the class, and that they could be a cup, the cup favorite also in some ways, and I think a lot of people are going to put them there as well. So. They're definitely first. Well, there you have your Western Division, I say. Yeah.
And tomorrow we'll be doing the Central Division. We will have Kevin Allen and we will have Pete Weber.
Wow, talk about an all-star cast tomorrow.
Yeah, we got everybody. I have one more thought though about Vatanen. Would they have signed him if they weren't unsure about Crawford at this point? That's the big question. Because if you're going to have Blackwood in there, it does make it sense to bring Vatanen in because. To be honest, I was on the call the other day, and it seemed like the Devils were completely happy and satisfied with their defense.
Yeah,
I get it if they aren't sure about what Crawford's going to do. One more for Blackwood.
Whoa! 1 year, $2 million for Vatanen. Boy, did he play this market bad.
Yeah, and what this plays out to is like Vatanen. Where Vatanen ends up saving money is he has got a house there. He lives there. So he already has a house, and that's like probably the easiest thing for him to do. I mean, when you're looking at it, it's a short season starting in January with the Devils. You might not make the playoffs. It could be done. It could be
and it could very well be the same thing that happened last year. Like he's playing for another team by the deadline.
Right. So it's really you're not going to move your family. It's a way easier move, and I think that you're going to see more of that. And I said that earlier, way back a couple months ago, that you're going to see some of these guys that aren't signing back with where they were for way less money, just because because you have a shortened season, the convenience of it, the ease of it. It's like if you're going to sign for $2 million, at least you save the hassle of trying to sell your house, trying to get this other stuff. That's something that comes into play. So this is easy for him. It's a really easy move for him, and it's easy for the Devils as well. They know him, they like him. So I mean, they're getting a steal, and this is a good move by Fitzgerald. I mean, $2 million. You say underplay his hand, but at the same time, Fitzgerald just got Sammy Vatanen for $2 million. I mean, that's like you got to give the Devils some credit on this one. This is a good.
Yeah, but it fell into their lap. That's really what it
fell into their lap. But I think they had an idea that it was going to fall into their lap too, because I think that this was becoming pretty obvious that this.
They probably kept the lines of communication open, which is smart.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, and you know, we'll see. Crawford, you know, my source says they expect him back by the beginning of the season, but there's also there's another source who I have who got back to me who said, you know, that there are some concerns that the family issues may cause him to want to retire. So there's different things there too. So we'll see how this plays out. It really is very fluid at this point.
Okay,
we'll see. All right, remember, folks, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you all tomorrow.